going to get the fights you want, Spencer Crawford, whatever. You're never going to get. You're right, because I just don't know why. Like Marvin Harris, greedy promoters. That's why. Because the greedy promoters, they want to have options. They want to control that guy. They don't want to take a chance they're going to lose that guy, and they want to keep that deal with the network. And part of that deal with the network is that they got this guy, and they don't want to lose that guy because they want to keep getting paid by the network. They don't give a freak about the fans. They don't care about you. They don't care about what you think. They could give two craps about that.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, there you have colorful analyst, legendary trainer, Teddy Atlas. He goes in on legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO and promoter, Bob Arum, and the PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, and advisor, Al Heyman. Teddy Atlas, he actually goes in because he says the difference between the UFC is there's one guy at the top that's controlling everything. He says in the sport of boxing, you have these guys that they are protecting their fighters. They are protecting their product because they owe it to the networks in which they fight. They have their fighters showcase their talents on. And so due to that, they want to keep their deals, their network deals. So because of that, we are going to neglect to get the biggest fight, the super fight in the sport of boxing, in undefeated 3-division world champion, former undisputed junior welterweight world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by most to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Terrence Crawford, and undefeated unified WBC, IBF welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who is widely considered to be top 3 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Errol the True Spence Jr. And Teddy Atlas, he absolutely loses it when it comes to this topic. After he heard the comments made by Terence Crawford this past weekend, when Terence Crawford stated that he has no more interest and the fight is past him, the fight is done, he informed his team that it's over between him and Errol Spence, and it's never going to happen. Teddy Atlas, he says that hurts the sport of boxing, the sport that we love. He says that the promoters don't care enough. They don't care what the fans think. They don't care, what anybody thinks. They're going to do what's in their best interest for their revenue to be able to get a return on their investment. A wise woman told me, she stated, only in the sport of boxing, you get what you pay for, you don't get what you want. That is the truth. The sport of boxing is the sport that the fans directly affect, but yet you have so many fans that are so emotionally tied to certain fighters that it doesn't matter what the fighter is doing. It doesn't matter who the fighter is fighting, as long as he's fighting. Now, that hurts the quality of the sport of boxing because you want to see the best fight the best. And when you have two guys in their absolute prime, Terence Crawford at 33 years of age, Errol Spence at 31 years of age, and they're in the same weight class, and they can't come to some sort of agreement. They're both undefeated. They're both highly decorated. They're both considered to be top 3 best fighters in the world. And it happens to be that they're in the same division. It is no question, no brainer, that this is the fight that needs to take place for the sport of boxing. Teddy Atlas stated that every now and then you'll get these promoters, they'll put on a big fight every now and then. When you have a fight of the caliber of Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, but even then it took 5 years to get that deal done. He says you have these huge mega fights in the sport of boxing and they don't get done. When it's in the UFC, that's not the case. The best fight the best. Win, lose, or draw. He said that needs to be the case here when you're dealing with the sport of boxing. But it's not the case because there's so much separation and so much individual catering going on, that you're never going to get the best fighting the best. And it's hurting the sport of boxing. He says, I'm a historian in the sport of boxing. Obviously, we all know that. Teddy Atlas says, I'm starting to lean more to the UFC because of what's taking place in the sport of boxing. He says that there's no way you get guys at this level in the same division and they're talking about they're never going to fight. That hurts the sport of boxing, and it absolutely does. Teddy Atlas is 1,000% right. This is what I state on my show all the time when I tell you guys that I have an issue with the dealings and the way the maneuvering part of the business is being conducted outside of the ring, and is not taking the fans into consideration. And you have so many fans that, again, are emotionally tied to certain fighters that they themselves don't realize what's taking place. And so with that said, that turns into, oh, you just don't like this fighter or you don't like that fighter, instead of looking and dealing with facts over feelings. The facts remain is this. The business part of the sport of boxing is hurting the sport of boxing. There's no way, again, I can't reiterate this enough. You have Errol Spence in his absolute prime. You have Terence Crawford in his absolute prime. And there's no way that they should not meet up and we get the biggest fight, the super fight in the sport of boxing. This is the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, and it's teetering on not being made. And that should never happen. In no other sport do you not get the best versus the best. In the NBA, you get the best team from the West and the best team from the East, and they meet up. They play the best out of 7. Whoever wins, the best team, the last team is standing. In this NFL, you may have a team that you may get hot in the playoffs. But again, you're going to get the hottest team from the playoffs on the NFC, the hottest team from the playoffs on the AFC, and they're going to meet up in the Super Bowl, and you're going to get the best against the best. Again, in MLB, Major League Baseball, same situation, so on and so forth, etc. Only in the sport of boxing can we have guys like Lennox Lewis and Riddick Bowe at the top of their games never come together. Only in the sport of boxing can we have Aaron Pryor and Sugar Ray Leonard not come together. Only in the sport of boxing can we have a Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua seemingly never come together to showcase their talents. Only in the sport of boxing are we hearing Terence Crawford and Errol Spence fight may not happen. That should never happen. The best needs to fight the absolute best. And there needs to be some sort of solution. Because again, only in the sport of boxing do the fans directly affect the sport in a manner that the fans can affect the sport of boxing. Because in the sport of boxing, these purses, these fights are based off of the fans' revenue. How much can the fans draw in per fight? These network deals that they have that Teddy Atlas is talking about is the reason why they're so clinging on to these network deals, is because to a degree they don't have to depend on your dollar, but they still are relying on your dollar, and they're not giving you the product that you want in the ring. Yes, in the sport of boxing, we're not going to always get the best fighting the best night in and night out, but for the most part, we need to see the best fighting the best. We need to stop talking about fighters splits. The obvious is stated when you're dealing with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. The proof is in the pudding, as Errol Spence stated, when it comes to revenue garnering. Errol Spence has garnered more revenue. He's done bigger pay-per-view numbers. His brand is bigger outside of the ring. With that said, he's asking for a 60-40 split. There needs to be some sort of negotiations, not just, hey, I need 60-40 or Terence Crawford responding 50-50 or no fight. There needs to be some sort of resolution, because the biggest fight in the sport of boxing needs to come to fruition. Teddy Atlas is 1,000% correct. And I'm glad that Teddy Atlas did this, because this just shows when I say, I'm passionate about the sport of boxing. This is the sport that we love. And we need to see this fight come to fruition. We saw Errol Spence. He stated that he's optimistic that the fight is going to happen. He's going on more than likely to face WBA welterweight world champion Yordenis Ugas in a unification bout. 3 belts will be on the line. Errol Spence is WBC, his IBF, and Ugas is WBA. And then we can get the super fight has gotten even bigger, because now you have a fight between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence for undisputed. It's pretty easy when you look at the matchmaking from the fans' perspective, is that we should have Terence Crawford versus Showtime Sean Porter, two-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer, who's the ranking #1 challenger in the WBO ranking system that the sanctioned body Terence Crawford represents, the belt that he holds. And we should have Errol Spence and Yordenis Ugas. They win those respectable fights, both big fights. They come together for undisputed in their absolute prime. It makes for a super fight. There's no way this fight should not come to fruition. I'm super glad that Teddy Atlas said this, because this is where I'm coming from. But let's see how it unfolds. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. Shouts out to New Media. Shouts out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.